speaking of young, this team is even younger, and they are next alphabetically as well. The Detroit Pistons. Key free agents here. Alec Burks has a team option. Did he pick that up yet? I don't know.
I have not seen any news on it.
Unsure. Hamadou Diallo, Rodney Magruder, Corey Joseph. Extension eligible, Isaiah Stewart and James Wiseman, two of their center logjam members. The Pistons do have about 30 million or almost 30 million in cap space. Interesting to see if they become a salary dump ground. Kind of seems unlikely based on how they've operated in the past. See Bojan Bogdanovic, see their interest in Jeremy Grant again, which would be just a wild full circle thing. So no notable trade exceptions. This is a young team that needs kind of everything up and down the roster. It's kind of the same theory as, you don't draft for fit if you're high in the lottery. I think free agency, if they do choose to spend, you could kind of do it anywhere. So long as you're not doing anything that, minimizes, say, like Cade Cunningham's, I don't know what you'd possibly do to put something in the way of Cade Cunningham, or you don't want to take Jaden Ivey's reps away, things like that. But what do you see as their needs? Who do you like as potential options for them?
I think they need like wings and shooting. It would be nice if they could get them in the same player, but they've been linked heavily, and I'm not as against it. I think when you look at how many big types are on this roster with Isaiah Stewart and James Wiseman, Marvin Bagley, and Jalen Duren, does paying Cam Johnson make a ton of sense? He's played for Monty Williams before. He's he's one of the best off motion scorers in the league, has a little bit of a floor game that he can attack with. I still view him as more of a pure 4 than someone who you're going to want to play at the 3. And then even things could get dicey defensively if he's your 4 and Bojan Bogdanovic is your 3. But then you're also probably playing with so much size because Jalen Duren will be your 5. Cade Cunningham will be on the court. And then you have Jaden Ivey. I love that lineup. I'm not going to lie. I love that lineup. But then it's like, okay, well, where does Ausar Thompson fit into this? I'm just of the mind, not that I don't care about the fit. You don't have I like Jalen Duren. There's not a big on this roster that if you think someone is a great long-term fit or that they're going to elevate the performance of Thompson, Ivey, and Cunningham, there's not big on this roster I view as untouchable or that you should plan around. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to go and you view him as gettable, or even if you're just going to blow up the price tag for Brooklyn, yeah, you go give Cam Johnson the 4-year, $120 million offer sheet if you feel inclined to do so. Where do you land on that for them?
Oh, I am in the business of giving Cam Johnson
I meant for we know that you think Cam Johnson's worth $60 million a year. We've established that. But for this team specifically,
I don't have any problem with the fit. I think you just hope that one of those 5s, like Stewart, I think is certainly the most known commodity. But I would argue he probably has the lowest ceiling, although Wiseman's running out of time to prove that true. I have no problem with Johnson just as a straight 4 alongside any of those guys. And if you move one of them down the line, fine. If you just hang on to all of them and assume one will be hurt and another one, just flops and you develop the third, like there's, again, hiring Monty Williams and paying him $1 zillion and some of the other things like keeping and extending Bogdanovic and, not trading Alec Burks at the deadline last year. Like all these things suggest that the Pistons are looking to win or at least win more. But I just look at the roster and it's like Cunningham's played a year. Ivy, growing pains all over the place last year. Thompson, I think, is probably going to be even rawer will be more raw than Ivy. Like you've got honestly, this is a team I view, if I were running it, I'm taking on bad money into that cap space with picks attached. I'm just kind of throwing all these young guys out there and kind of seeing what it looks like. So yeah, I mean, that makes for bad pod because I'm not going to look at a bunch of free agents and trade options, but I kind of just like the idea of looking at this for what it is, which is a rebuild that is like not far along because you don't really know that much about anybody that you have. That's not how Pistons are treating it. I think they're very much looking to start winning more, kind of like Houston.
Do you? I was going to say the contract they gave Monty made me think that they're not operating on this accelerated timeline.
I think the contract.
Also, I think there would have been more noise with the Thompson pick if they were more worried about. I think a lot of Pistons fans, where I gather, were worried that they might not have taken the remaining Thompson brother if he was on the board. Well, I mean, he was going to be on the board because it would be viewed as too long term of a play.
Well, why then are they keeping veterans through the deadline and things like that? It just
I think
asset preservation. You think? I mean,
no, I think it's looking at it from the perspective of how can we make the lives easier for the development. They're already trying to play with two bigs. At least we think. Maybe Cam Johnson gets them away from that, which, hey, there's value in that. But having shooting just in the form of Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic, you could, if you're saying they should take the long-term route, like I would still be targeting, I don't care if I have to overpay them, bring me shooting just to open up the floor for all these guys who need it now. Cade, Jaden Ivey, or Sir Thompson.
Great point.
By the way, his jump shot, I trust it more than on men's. I don't know where you land on that, but watching them, neither of us have gotten into it too much. I don't mean
I think that's right, but that's to say I don't trust either of them much at all. So
fair.
So by that logic, then it's Cam Johnson for sure. That makes a ton of sense in terms of free agency. I mean, then but as far as like guys you could spend a significant amount on, there aren't a ton of like, as you say, like
Max Strus.
Yeah, I mean, but then other than the playoffs, he's like not always the most reliable 3-point shooter.
He shot under 32% in the playoffs this year too.
Oh, yeah, okay, so full stop, he's not reliable.
I mean, he's taken like 9 per 36 minutes, and he's coming around. Like him and Bojan open up the floor. I think I'm with you in the sense that can you check two boxes where it's okay if the Mavericks were looking to get off Tim Hardaway Jr., do we get compensated and get a shooter that way type deal? Like I would, if I'm them, I want to make clear, I'm not going after, they've been linked to Jeremy Grant, Chris Middleton. I'm not going after those guys because I don't think they provide enough 3-point volume.
It is the cap relief they would provide the Heat for taking on Duncan Robinson enough to just get Duncan Robinson. Like, I don't know what the scenario is where
the Heat are talking about waiving and stretching Kyle Lowry to keep Gabe Vincent. So I'm going to assume yes.
So if you're talking about movement shooters and guys that are going to open up the offense and draw attention away, I mean, just give the draft compensation or whatever. Like maybe you get a pick with Duncan. I think Duncan Robinson rehabbed his value enough to where it's like the Heat aren't paying to get off that contract. But if, they also don't want to give him that much money with their cap situation. So like, just take him on, swing a deal for him.
That was tough because it's 3 years. Whereas like, if you could just pay Tim Hardaway Jr. or Max Strus for 2 years, it just feels a lot more palatable.
Maybe they're a Bertans destination. Maybe Bertans
So we basically both said we're okay with them throwing all the money at Cam Johnson, but anyone else is just like sort of a no-go. And another player, Toronto's going to be looking to cut money. Gary Trent Jr. wouldn't be awful here. You have like enough size with Sir Thompson and Cade Cunningham to where I don't know if you want to play Gary Trent Jr. or Jaden Ivey with both of them, but you could certainly he could fit in the rotation, especially off the bench.
Yeah, I like that fine.
He's also like only 17 years old or something. Gary Trent Jr. is like the king of being super young.
Well, if we're going to talk Cam Johnson, I feel like the next gradation down is, not quite as good at any of it as PJ Washington. If you're going to throw an offer sheet out there, like he's not the shooter.
I'd rather go Grant Williams. Feels like he provides more reliable shooting.
Grant Williams makes sense too. Yeah, you always have to start with Cam and then you bump down to the other couple guys. Do you have any trade? You mentioned Gary Trent because he's obviously not opting out, but
do you know who would be spicy trade target for them? Oh, you're not going to answer? I'm waiting. Larry Markkinen would be great on this team.
He can't play small forward, Dan. We've already discussed.
He can play the 4.
That's true. I did just say none of their bigs are good enough to move someone off a position.
And when you're talking about shooters that maybe you could trade for, I already mentioned Tim Hardaway Jr., Gary Trent, or even, I don't think Indy, you have to give up stuff for him, but Buddy Hield, maybe the Nets are looking to get off Joe Harris. The other name I thought of is just, I know Atlanta already cut money, but like what's going on with DeAndre Hunter, and does he give you enough shooting to really think about it? So you didn't want to pay Sadiq Bey. Do you want to pay, DeAndre Hunter on his contract? But I think there are teams that will be looking to move contracts that would provide Detroit with shootings, where I think they're straddling the lines that we're saying both of them should, where you might be more nuclear rebuild than I am at this point. But
yeah, no, I think that's fair.